Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Blind Spots. This is the monthly movie show where y'all decide on which movie I should watch for the very first time and talk about. And last month I had done Film Bro Classics and had done, what's it called, Fight Club. And for the month of February, I know it's in mid-March and I'm late and I'm sorry, but this one, because our theme is love, Valentine's Day, what have you, this one won by a landslide. As soon as the first day went through on this poll, I knew I had to get this movie, and I actually just bought it outright. And I was like, screw it, I know this is going to happen. So, without any further ado, the winner, obvious winner here, The Princess Bride. Directed by Rob Reiner, with a script by William Goldman, starring Carrie Elways, Robin Wright, Mandy Patinkin, Wallace Shawn, Christopher Guest, Chris Sarandon, and the always much beloved Andre the Giant. Oh, and Billy Crystal's in it too. And I didn't even look at the credits for that, and I heard that voice, and I was like, Mike Wazowski! If you don't know the format of Blind Spots, it's me just kind of talking off the cuff about the movie for however long I decide to talk about the movie for. So, of course, I'm going to be tossing in spoilers. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. I'll just give you the quick summation. Watch it. Get the Criterion collection of this. I found this on sale for 20 bucks. It's a beautiful storybook with multiple paintings and, essays, and one by William Goldman, which I think are definitely worth a watch, ones that I'm going to be referencing in this video. Princess Bride is a movie that everyone's been telling me to watch for years. A movie that I just kind of hadn't gotten around to. And when I chose this for love, I've seen, the cover of the movie. I mean, the cover of this book has, Wesley and Buttercup in love. And that's kind of what the movie says it's about. But really, their love is the kind of least interesting part of the movie. Because Buttercup's kind of a weak character, doesn't really do much outside of, I love Wesley, I'm going to wait for Wesley forever. And that's pretty much it. The most that she does, I think, is take a stick to one of the ROUSs. Outside of that, she's really not doing that much. The people I'm more interested in are, Fezzik, Vicini, Inigo, and the grandfather and the grandson. I think when you're talking about love in this movie, we talk about love that's built off of, I want to say, more choice than status. I was emotionally drawn in by it, but it didn't really sting me until the very ending, which, I mean, just this right there. As You Wish is a response to somebody asking something of you. Like, love is an action. You choose to get a bucket of water for somebody. You choose to read them a bedtime story when they're sick. And so it's that idea of care and that idea of action associated with love that really strengthens the act as a whole. It's the love that's built out of, my father died. My father was murdered by this guy, and I loved my father so much that I will go to the ends of the earth. I will learn how to fence for 20 years. I will climb cliffs and duel madmen and storm a castle in order to show my devotion, my appreciation, my love for this man. That's Inigo's story. And I think Inigo's story is probably the best subplot that we've got here. I think out of the cast, the all-star here for me is Mandy Patinkin, because that dude can just sell a scene. When you watch this, you can tell where Shrek took its tone, its wit. Third act of Shrek 2 is pretty much a rip-off of the end of this movie. I see how somebody can be really inspired by sort of the quick-on-its-feet thinking. The movie's set pieces, the big fights, are not mindless. And when we talk about mindless action, we talk about stuff where punches are only interesting to a point. The duel is fun because it's these two personalities going at it. It's Wesley and Inigo fighting each other. And Inigo has the respect and honor to bring him up off of the cliffs, talk with him, let him like chill for a second, get his strength back because he doesn't want to fight him while he's weak. Even while they're sparring, the fact that they're able to exchange conversations about swordplay and technique, it adds so much dimension to the scene. It's not about two dudes trying to kill each other, it's about two dudes, like, I guess, who are fated to do this sort of tradition. They live in this rule, and they have an awareness that they don't disrespect each other, but that this is just the way things are. It's an inventive choice that skews this typical kind of scene away from the typical kind of, like, guy versus guy action. Everything with the way Wallace Shawn delivers his whole back and forth logic on how Wesley's going to beat him. This tiny man with a narrow-minded way of thinking. His line is inconceivable because he seriously cannot conceive the simple notion that, hey, maybe both of them are poisoned. He's so locked into proving his logic that he can't, like, expand his brain to see the bigger picture, which I always find is really funny. And that kind of ties into the Inigo's line of, you use that word, I don't think you know what that word means. I don't think Vicini could conceive of a world in which the way he thinks about the world isn't correct, or isn't the perfect straight way to handle things. In another story, presenting the storybook elements as is would seem scattershot and messed up, but when you put it in with the wraparound from Fred Savage, that sort of meta breaking the fourth wall, which totally makes sense why they inserted something like this in Once Upon a Deadpool. When you insert those choices in, which was something that William Goldsman did to kind of prevent writer's block. He says in one of the essays written in this Criterion collection that he had all the scenes in his head, but he didn't know how to put them all together. So when you added that element with Fred Savage, and you added sort of the impatience of this kid that didn't want to sit through all the kind of boring, stretched out, long expositional points of the novel, and just wanted to get to the good bits, the essential bits, the grandpa is telling the story in a way that, like, okay, he's kind of flipping through the book, not this, not this, not this. Okay, let me start with this, and then let me skip a couple chapters and move over here. And so that element, because the wraparound is in place, ends up giving the movie that kind of quick, snappy feel that doesn't seem dumbed down. The grandpa knows what he needs to tell the kids, so in essence, this sort of scattershot thing is efficient, and it works to its favor. I love the little elements where the kids, like, interjecting, when the book gets real, when people die, and the kid's like, wait a second, that's not fair. It's like, yeah, kid, life isn't fair. Wesley dies. Like, he fucking dies in this movie. Is that the end of the story? No. Because there is that element of magic and fantasy and the hope in our world. But this isn't a movie that sugarcoats really anything. As you read through William Goldman's essay, he's receptive to kind of the joyous parts of life, but there's always kind of an understanding that it won't necessarily last. There's some moments in the essay where he's talking about how The Princess Bride was the happiest achievement he created as a novel, and then he writes, after that happened, I got really sick, hospitalized, and I thought I was about to die. It's so just, like, turn on a dime. William Goldman writes in the novel, for the umpteenth time, I must say this. Life is not fair, but it's fairer than death. I think that's the kind of hopeful magic in The Princess Bride, that through trying to be a good human being, and through loving people, and through caring for them, even though the world is completely against you, it's still noble, it is still morally superior to live and love than to kind of let yourself sink into cynicism. And so when you're talking about The Princess Bride as a love story, I wouldn't necessarily, it's more of a romantic thing, but it's the kind of love that's built out of trial and action and difficulty. And when you push through the shit and you finally break through to a better point, I think it's a film that's dealing with love as a point of growth. There's a point in the film where it kind of slows down for me, so I can't give it the full Monty. But the more I'm talking about it, I'm going 5.5 out of 6. This is a solid picture. And if you've got kids, I'd say let them watch it. And sure, it's informed so many people that I love. It's informed their childhoods and the way they think and the way they love movies. So, I mean, I like all those people, and those people are fucking awesome. So, I think you should do the same for your kids and have them be fucking awesome as they live through life. That's it for Blind Spots of February. Again, I'm sorry it came out so late. For March, which this video is going to come out, and then I'm going to have the poll for a week, and then I'm going to basically rush to make this episode for March. I am going to do the theme of SNL alumni. These are movies made by people, stars of Saturday Night Live. And there's a lot of big ones here that I have not seen before. Your choices for March's Blind Spots. Vote on in the comments, vote in the polls, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just give me everything you got. You've got to choose between The Blues Brothers, Caddyshack, Tommy Boy, or Wayne's World. I think I have an idea about which one's gonna win, but I'm not entirely sure. I don't think this one is quite as runaway as last month. Or maybe it is. I don't know. Y'all let me know. Let me know any suggestions you want for the show, maybe new ideas, new themes, new movies, etc. This video is going to be out hopefully before Captain Marvel After Credits comes out. We're going to see that tonight as I'm recording this. This is Saturday. Yeah, as far as After Credits, I think I've only got Captain Marvel and Jordan Peele's Us, which premiered to a plum at South by Southwest. Got another Pitch It coming too, so y'all stay tuned. Follow me on Twitter at Royal Screwups, and follow the HalfKocked on Twitter to be up to date with stuff. I think my cat's scratching at the door, so I gotta get out of here. But until next time, y'all take care, and have a good rest of the day. Bye.